All right, week 5. Here we go. Week 5 of this year was Monday Night Football with San Francisco at the LA Rams. In that week, in that game, we had two fire starters, people that really set the stage for their teams to get the wins in week 5. Kyron Williams had 65 yards rushing and 66 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns for 22 points for full Mooney to help them to start the fire for their win. While Puka Nacua had 85 yards and a touchdown for 14 points for Adamas Lamas, also in his win. Though Christian McCaffrey did all he could with 19 points to help beating Goff, though he did take the L, as we'll get to later. In week 5, we did have 8 zeros, as Seattle's defense had a -3 for yourself, myself, OG Watch Doctor. They played Tampa Bay. I tell people all the time, don't play defenses versus good offenses. I should have listened to my own advice. No matter how good the defense is, and Seattle's been playing good, they're playing great. But Tampa Bay put a whipping on them, and yeah. So there you go. That was my big zero. Malik Washington had a 0 for Batgirls Bag of Tricks. Sean Tucker had 0 for King Rich in their game, which we'll get to in a second. Baltimore versus Houston. Again, Baltimore again. Carlos. Again, -2 points. It's the 4th time this year. Out of 5 weeks. 4 out of 5 weeks, the Baltimore defense has had a negative point score. I don't know how it's even possible, but it's happened. And Carlos keeps starting them. Jameson Williams, 0 points for Dr. Miles Toboggan in his L. Again, and Carlos actually won. I don't know. Carlos won. I don't, well, whatever's happening. Tommy Tremble, 0 for Joski in his loss. Chuba Hubbard got a 0, but he was actually out. He should have been taken out before the weekend. K-Dog's kid still won, though. And then Jalen Tolbert had a 0 for the Mayflower in his win as well. But the week 5 biggest 0 is actually Malik Washington and Sean Tucker. As their game, the Bag of Tricks and King Rich ended a tie. So if either one of them, would have got that 1 point, one of them would have got a win instead of a tie. So there you go. For the heroes, and then going into this week in the week 5, only 8 teams had 0. We still had 6 teams that didn't have a 0. But in this week, 4 more teams fell. So now 12 of us have zeros. The only people left without a 0 going into week 6 were Adamas, Lamas, and the Sickos. Okay. Anyway, Kyle Williams started the fire, and Josh Allen had 20 degrees of points, as Theo Johnson also had 33 yards and 2 touchdowns for 15 points to lead full Mooney over my squad, OG Bush Doctor, 98-77. In the first of 2 matchups with over 200 combined points. It's not that often we have that. We had 2 matches this week of over 200 combined points. Pooh got a handful of double digits to back him up with Jaden Daniels, Shaquan Barkley, and Jason Ferguson, and New Orleans defense, all in double digits. New Orleans itself had 5 turnovers and a touchdown to help Adamas to lead Adama over Batarski 105-100. The other 200-point win was a total of 208 points, with K-Dog's kids getting a 6-point win over Joski 107-101. The Dogs were led by Dak Prescott's 27 and Jonathan Taylor, who's just been on a fucking tear, with 28 points, with 66 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, and 20 yards receiving. And now, while those were the highest combined scores, the highest team score for the week was actually Carlos at 110. Even again, would have been like 112 if you wouldn't have played Baltimore's defense. But 110 with the -2. He was led by Trevor Lawrence's 26. Enrico Dotto had 206 yards rushing with a touchdown and 20 yards receiving for 28 points to get the win 110-83 over beating Golf. And then with another 100-point performance, the Mayflower took down the Sickos 106-74, led by every player except for Tolbert, who had the 0 with double digits. So again, we had 1 0, and then is that 6 double digits? All right. And then in a gift from the schedule gods, the gods of the schedule, if you will, the 2 lowest scoring teams of the week play each other, where Hayek Maneuver was able to beat the only team he outscored this week in a 72-65 win over Dr. Modest Toboggan, led by Justin Herbert's 15 and Jahmyr Gibbs' 14. For the Willie Beeman, we have Theo Johnson with that 33 and 2 touchdowns for 15 points for full Mooney in his win. Michael Carter for my squad had 51 and a touchdown and some receiving yards for 13. Tyler Warren, 44 yards and a touchdown for 10. Rico Dowdle, 206 and a touchdown and 28 for 28. Trevor Lawrence, 221 with a touchdown and two touchdowns rushing as well. Rashid Shaheed, 114, a touchdown for 17. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 132 and a touchdown for 19 for the Mayflower. And Quinshawn Junkins with 110, 18, and 12 for the Mayflower as well. And man, Trevor Lawrence, he has, at some point he might get it. And Rico Dowdle, we'll get to in a minute. But for the week 5 of this year, we got to give that Willie Beeman to Mr. Jackson Smith and Jigba. It's a long time coming. He's going to be this week's Willie Beeman. For the share, turn back the clock. Lutarski lost by 5 points, 100 to 105 to Adamas Lamas. He started. Jordan Mason had 9 points, and Tony Pollard had 11 points. On the bench, he had Javonte Williams, who had 135 and a touchdown and a 4-yard receiving touchdown as well for 25 points. He could have won 116 to 105 or 114 to 105 if he would have started Javonte Williams over either of his running backs. Dadamas Toboggan took the L by 7 points, 65 to 72 to Howard Maneuver, who started. He started Alvin Kamara and who had 4 points, and Imaro DiMaccardo, who had 6 points. Well, on the bench was Mr. Rashad White, who had 41 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns and 30 yards receiving for a total of 19 points, where he could have got the win 80 to 72 or 78 to 72 over Howard Maneuver. And then there was no Denny Green comeback. There was actually a Tuesday morning, no, it was Monday night, actually Monday, Sunday night. At some point, there was a stat correction. So there was a stat correction comeback of the week, if you will, as the Arizona stat correction was a Dennis Green comeback for a tie. little duet for Mrs. Cher. King Rich started. That was on. There was a weird play where it was a fumble then a touchdown. Anyway, they messed it up originally, so they gave him the extra 2 points, I think it was, and that was enough to get the tie for King Rich. So in the King Rich, kind of these shares, if you will, he started Jacob Myers, who had 3 points, and DeMarcus Robinson had 3 points. While on the bench, he had Travis Hunter, like one of his top picks, who had 64 yards for 6 points. So he would have won if he would have started Travis Hunter. While back goes Bag of Tricks over here, started Derrick Henry and Kenneth Walker, had 9 and 8 points. Well, on the bench, she had Zach Charbonnet, who had 10 points, thanks to 36 yards and a touchdown and 12 points receiving, and J.K. Dobbins, who had 79 yards and a touchdown for 13 points. So she would have started either of those running backs with the 2 she started, she would have won as well. And that is our week 5 good stuff. See you guys in a minute because I'm about to make week 6 as well.